Hey, up viewers and viewesses, my name is John Red Strategist and welcome back to So You're Being Hunted. It's episode 480. So, back here of course with the Hardcore Alphabet Challenge, and this time Phil's joining me. How you doing over there, Phil?
I am joining you indeed. Hello.
Yes,
I
there he
haven't
is.
been with So You're Being Hunted for a bit.
No, you haven't.
But it's good to be back in and seeing you doing one of the challenges that I sent you. Very interesting, the Hardcore Alphabet Challenge. Yeah.
It's been a nice, sedate, enjoyable little challenge. This one has.
Yeah, you've done some good little progress with it as well.
Yeah, I've only got about just looking at my list, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 more objectives to actually do, and then technically I've finished it. Yeah. So.
And those 4 are.
Those 4 are Objective C, so kill a crow. Objective F, feathered food, so hunt and collect a pheasant. K. Oh, sorry, no, 5 objectives, sorry, not 4. K for King's Residence, climb on a castle wall. L for Lapan, hunt and collect rabbit. And objective Y coordinate, go to a high place.
Go to a high place, right? Some interesting little ones there. Yeah,
indeed.
Require you to do it a bit extra rather than the little easy ones that you have been doing.
Indeed, yeah.
But it's good because I don't know where the idea came from to start with. I just thought. Yeah, it might be good to go through the alphabet and see what things you can do. And
absolutely.
You've made use of it.
Indeed. So the thing is, folks, whilst I'll be potentially doing a few objectives in this episode, because Phil's joining me, this might turn into more of a podcast one.
We like doing these, don't we? Yeah, with a bit of discussion and. I've actually got talking about that, I've got a website which has got a list of there's 300 interesting questions.
Yeah.
But we're going to go through all three. No.
We're not going to do all of those, but
No. But some of them are really intriguing and really get you thinking. But as well, viewers, you can answer them as well. But we can answer the. Now I'm going to just do it as a random selection for these questions because there's I think there's 300, isn't there? So if I just do before we just do that, how are you getting on? How's things getting on?
Yeah, doing all right actually. I've had a fairly sedate morning. I've just been marking a few essays just to keep on top of one of the batches. But I've actually only got a couple of essay batches to mark at the moment, and the one I was marking this morning I'm actually very close to completing. So probably after today's recording session, I'm just going to quickly round that one off. So that way, when the working week starts tomorrow,
the working week starts tomorrow.
Yeah, I've only got one batch to do, which will be good. Just to keep on top of things and all that. But how are you doing, Phil?
I'm not too bad. Yes, I was wrong here. There's actually 350 questions, so we can increase the minimum maximum. But yes, I'm not doing too bad. Obviously, the working week will start again tomorrow. Had a nice weekend. Weather's been all right. It's a bit overcast today, but it's still nice and cheerful. Which is fantastic. Weather is always good, and what's really good is my passport's obviously come through the passport office. I've got one I've got my passport now until 2032.
Good, yes. So you've renewed that, which is great, because now me and you can start sort of thinking about our little, our proposed little trip abroad at some point.
Yes, to good old Germany.
We
want to get that going. Hopefully around about August time. It'll still be nice and warm then.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it starts getting chilly until about end of September.
Indeed,
so
yeah.
Be okay.
There we go. I've just fulfilled Objective F, feathered food, hunt and collect a pheasant. Nice.
There you go.
Cross that one off. There we go.
Okay, let's do some of these interesting questions. So I'm going to pick a random. Okay, Google. Pick a number between 1 and 350. What number have we got here? 161. So
161. Okay. All right. Let's see what.
So question number 161 is. Just have to zoom through because there's a huge page of questions. Right, 161. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So question 161 is: do you think that humans will ever be able to live together in harmony?
Ooh,
wow.
Okay. That is quite a deep one, actually, to start with. I mean, honestly, based on the state of the world at the moment, my response to that is a bit pessimistic.
I'm afraid I'm on the same lines as you. Yeah. I mean, there was a statistic I saw ages ago in all the years of human history, since human history has began, we've only ever had about 293 years of peace.
Yes.
And the latest was, I believe it was 2006.
Which is already, quite a number of years ago.
Well,
Indeed. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Indeed.
We're just a very stupidly, annoyingly destructive race of people.
We are, yeah. There's always, I think, someone out there whose kind of politics differ, and I think there'll always be someone who's just, for whatever reason, is kind of disillusioned with the world, and just as a result wants to kind of cause violence. But it's not to say that these things can't be mitigated. There are things that we can do to try and create a greater degree of harmony.
When they, when they say, oh, what's the most destructive species? Oh, sharks, piranha. No, human beings.
Humans,
human beings. You don't see we haven't seen an elephant war. We haven't seen a snake war.
Yeah.
But we've had loads of wars ourselves. Yeah.
Indeed. Animals fight, but they don't sort of make war in the same way humans do. But yes, humans are by far the most destructive. Absolutely.
Yeah, we won't truly ever live in harmony because there was always someone going to be raving and ranting over their political views and political discourse. So.
Indeed. That's not to say that the majority of humans can't get along. We can, but like I say, it's just unfortunate. But there's always so many kind of factors, variables in the world. From sort of
it's so unfortunate,
things like ideology right through to socioeconomic status. Social factors, all kinds of stuff that can ultimately conspire just to ensure that there is always that one person who has some axe to grind or something like that.
I know, and that's what again leads to things like terrorists and various different things like that.
Yeah, criminality, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So that's our sort of little view. And again, viewers, answer what do you think? Do you think we can live in perfect harmony or not? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, indeed. That's not to say though that harmony and cooperation and cooperation between different communities and groups. That's not something we shouldn't strive for. We should by all means strive for it at every opportunity. We should just obviously be prepared, for instances where it doesn't always work out. That's more the kind of central point.
We need to try, because it's always good to peace. I like seeing these wholesome moments that you can sometimes see. Like giving stuff. I don't know if I've told you of a little sort of hopefully a little wholesome moment that I did myself.
All right.
When I was at a petrol station filling up with petrol, opposite from me there was a ambulance filling up on petrol.
Yeah.
And it was around the time of Easter, so I just thought I went in, got some petrol, and I bought an Easter egg and just gave it to them. And
wow. Nice.
Thanks for all your services during the horrible crisis that we've had. And I hope I think there was two of them at the time, and I said, I hope you enjoy this. And I said, oh, thank you. We'll certainly get up.
It's a nice little gesture. Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
Chocolate.
Because I imagine like ambulance crews, with the amount of stress that probably they're under, it's probably that sort of nice little kind of faith in humanity restored moment that you've just given them there, which is a
bit of
great thing to do
for all the times that they've helped us out. Yeah,
indeed.
So that's an interesting little question there we've had. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to do it between 1 and 350 again, but obviously if it picks 161 again, we'll have to do
a different one.
Yeah. Okay, Google. Pick a number between 1 and 350. Not 161.
19.
Okay,
I
19.
heard that. 19. All right, let's see what question number 19 is.
Right. Oh. Why did it do this? It puts it in a massive thing in the way, and now I can't get out.
Phil's doing it on his phone or whatever, or his laptop or whatever he's on at the moment. Let's see. Oh god, there's a lot of hunters around here. My god, there's a lot of robots. Guess I was probably just hang around for a bit.
Okay. Right. So 100. So 19. Right. So question number 19 is: what's wrong but sounds right?
Ooh.
What do you say for that one? Yes.
What's wrong but sounds right?
Well, something that sounds, that seems a bit weird, but it's actually 100% correct.
Oh god, yeah.
Could be a spelling or something.
I mean, since you've mentioned spelling, I'll say probably a whole ton of words in the English language, which, when you sort of look at them, you think, why are certain letters in those words? They don't make any.
Yeah,
Yeah, but technically it's right,
because
that's formally what it's meant to be.
Like when I see spelling sometimes of the American English spelling and British English, like because they sometimes put Zs instead of S's. Like recognizance, sometimes we say that with S, but they say it with Z. And then for some reason, yes, Americans like to leave out the U in various different words, like colour and favour.
The thing is, like, there are some, American words which I can understand, and, if, as heretical as this may sound, if I was in charge of the dictionary, and I had the power to sort of say, this is what standard English will be, there are certain American words that I would adopt, like, for example, colour, their spelling of colour. Because, like, let's be honest, why is there a U in the British English spelling?
Well,
what is the purpose of that? Why is
how
it
did
there?
That come about? But how did because obviously, how did why colour did they decide to get rid of the U, or favour, or honour? I don't know what was the thing when they...
Yeah. I sometimes wonder with like English, I would imagine that with words where you have silent letters that don't really seem to serve a purpose, I wonder if it's I wonder if it's like sort of an example of where maybe probably it's just influences from other languages over time. Like, for example, there are periods in English history where sort of like upper classes would use sort of combinations of letters in imitation of like French, for example, because it was seen to be like more fancy and like romantic, stuff like that, which is probably, that probably explains why some words have certain letter combinations. But of course, who wants to be like the French, eh?
And there's also things like the funny cough, rough, through. Yeah, they're all pronounced differently, but they're all like spelled the same.
Indeed.
But if we go away from the sort of language, things that seem wrong but are right, in some countries where the drinking age is really low, like Germany, I think it's something like 16. Japan, it's apparently something like 14.
Yeah, indeed.
And some of them can actually, drink in a bar at that sort of age. It seems very sort of wrong in some aspects, but it is completely right and legal.
It's right and legal in this, but of course, that's very much a case of sort of us. We're just kind of looking at it because we've been, we've grown up in a society where it's 18, so naturally we've just been sort of socialised into us.
Yeah, the US find it even better because theirs is 21.
That's actually something really curious about the US that I always found. Like, it's, you have to be 21 or above to drink alcohol. Yeah, you can basically serve in the military and go to war at like 18 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's a bit weird. Yeah,
well,
it just seems really strange to me.
Yeah, so that's some interesting wrong things that are right.
Yeah. Indeed, I've thought of another one actually. It's a bit more complex, so I'll try and keep this as concise as possible. But you ever heard of the Monty Hall problem, Phil?
No.
It's basically it's like a mathematical sort of thought experiment where when you hear the solution to it, it sort of sounds like something that a lot of people sort of say, I don't get it, how does that work? But it is actually right.
It's completely right.
Yeah, so I'll sort of try and explain this as best as I can. So imagine you're on a game show, and the host of the game show presents you with 3 closed doors and says, behind one of these doors is a grand prize. So it could be like, I don't know, like a car or a cash prize or something, whatever you want it to be. And behind the other 2 doors is nothing. So the host gets you to pick one of the doors, A, B, or C. He doesn't open it though. He just gets you to pick one. So he makes you take an initial guess at which door you think has the prize behind it. Then, after you've selected one of the doors, he goes to one of the other 2 doors and opens it to reveal that there's nothing behind it. So basically, he opens one of the other doors to reveal there's nothing there. And he knows, of course, which door has the prizes, and he always opens basically one that doesn't have something behind it. The question then is, he then offers you the choice: do you want to stick with the original door that you chose, or do you want to switch to the one remaining door? So, what do you do? What do you think you should do, Phil? Should you stick or should you switch?
I think switch.
Okay, so you say switch. Why? Why do you think you should switch? What's your reasoning? or is it just a random guess? So most people apparently say you should switch because they think it's like a 50-50 chance, so either way. But actually it's not. Mathematically, statistically, you have a greater chance of, I think it's like if you
stay.
Sorry, no, sorry, I've got it wrong. No. I think. Oh, hang on, have I remembering this correctly?
Where did you learn this from?
I've sort of seen it around on the internet. I've forgotten already. Maybe no. Actually, no. I think it is mathematically you should switch. Now that I think about it,
right?
Because so most people sort of see it as a 50-50 chance, but what you've got to realise is that when you made your initial decision, what you were basically doing was like a 1 in 3 chance of actually getting the right door, which means statistically you were unlikely to have picked the correct door right at the beginning. So actually, mathematically, it means you have a 2/3 chance of being successful if you switch. So basically, it's not saying that you are 100% guaranteed of success if you switch. It's just saying that there is statistically a higher likelihood that the door that you didn't initially pick is the one that has the prize behind it.
Right.
But a lot of people apparently can't get their heads around that, and they sort of struggle with it, and they end up sort of picking the wrong
I can
option.
see how you would struggle. Yeah. That'd be a good question to ask an actual mathematician.
Yeah. Apparently, I think there was like a sort of controversy sometime either in the 80s or the 90s around it, because I think there was like a magazine columnist named Marilyn Vo-Savin who was asked this question, and she said you should switch, I think is what she said. But apparently a lot of people were like, no, that's wrong, you should surely stick, right? But no, she was, I think whatever her answer was, it was correct. But it's like one of those things where it's like intuition tells you that you should do this, whereas actually no, you should do something else. So
okay, well, that's an interesting little thing, isn't it?
I hope I've explained that correctly. I think I've explained it right, but I'm sure people in the comments can correct me if I've explained it incorrectly.
They might. Who knows? Might be someone who's studying maths or who can give us a bit more. Yeah,
indeed.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we've got some interesting things there. Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed. Yeah. Should we do another one?
Yeah. Well, this is interesting, isn't it? These questions that I've got. Okay, Google. Pick a number between 1 and 350.
Here's a random number. 102.
Okay.
102. Okay.
Right. Let's have a look. 2. Right. What is the question number? Okay. Question 102. Okay. Right. How comfortable are you speaking in front of large groups of people?
Okay. Well, considering I am in higher, education, I'd say I have to be relatively comfortable with it. Yeah, indeed, because I have to do lectures and things.
What's your sort of class size? It's not that large, is it?
Yeah, it depends on which course it is. Like some class sizes aren't going to be very big. Like for example, I did like a theme introduction seminar a few days ago, and that was only about 5 people. But other times I've given lectures where there's at least like a couple of dozen people. There's other times where I've been to like academic conferences where I've spoken in front of probably 50 people or something.
Interesting because obviously I know you with myself as well. We aren't the most outgoing.
No, we're not.
Vibrant. We're quite shy.
Yeah, indeed.
So it's interesting. With regards to your career as well as that, I'm not very good with speaking with large groups of people. I remember in college, university, or in school when you had to do a presentation in front of a class. Oh my God, I was bricking it.
Yeah.
When it was having to do a presentation in front of the whole class.
Indeed, yeah. I think one of the things that always kind of helps with that, if you're ever going to give a presentation, is I think people sometimes they get very worried that because they're presenting, they have to know all the answers in terms of what they're presenting on. But I find that actually, as an academic, it helps actually to sometimes admit to yourself that actually you don't need to know all the answers. At the end of the day, you just need to sort of give an answer of some sort to the question you're addressing, or on the subject that you're introducing. And obviously afterwards, people will ask questions, and try and answer those to the best of your ability. But if there is ever something you don't know, I sometimes find it is better just to say, I don't have the information to hand to be able to answer that, rather than feeling pressured into giving some kind of answer. So, thing is, like, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're in a fairly kind of supportive environment, people will kind of understand that. And part of the beauty of like educational methods today is that the idea is that rather than sort of relying on one single person for the answer, by having a sort of group of people, you can sort of extend the question out to them and maybe get them to talk. Yeah, give them a go at answering it as well.
It can be very sort of difficult when you're not really that sort of person.
Yeah.
To speak to large groups of people.
Yeah, that's like the whole point why we have seminars, like at university level, not just lectures. So that way it gets, the aim is to try and get students to talk to one another. So that way it sort of acknowledges that maybe the tutor doesn't know everything, but that the students may well know something that the tutor doesn't because they've perhaps read certain materials or they've encountered certain sources somewhere. And you think, oh, actually, this is some really interesting information which actually maybe does relate to the topic that's being discussed. Maybe I can bring this in and maybe this will help actually further the conversation.
I always used to remember when I hate it when a teacher would go, can you please go to the room next door and get me a highlighter? And you walk into the classroom and everyone stares at you as like you're an alien from another planet.
Indeed, yeah.
Oh, God,
it's always annoying. Looks like there's a poacher and a squire off over here who are having a shootout.
Oh, no, shoot them.
Oh, wow.
Blimey, that was a blast and a half.
Damn. You just saw that squire then got shot, and then immediately another squire just spawned in, because obviously they spawn in the villages. Yeah.
It's like, what, did something just happen?
Yes. Did my predecessor just get absolutely eviscerated?
Andrew,
yes.
You give us a random number now.
Okay.
So we've had 161, we've had 19, and we've had
102.
102.
Okay.
Yeah, so
153.
153. You're going with?
Yep.
Okay.
Okie doke. And that's not because I just looked down at the vitality and saw that it was on 53 and the health was 100.
Right, so 153. So question number 153. What has been blown way out of proportion?
Ooh, all right. I mean, this is again a little bit political, but this is my sort of honest view. Things over what is known as like culture wars today, I find to be something incredibly blown out of proportion. Like people getting sort of very up in arms about, people are like cancelling all these shows and things like this just because they don't like certain jokes and things like that. And I do find that the whole culture wars debate is something that is massively overblown out of proportion, and people get the knickers in a twist over it when actually it's just, I don't know, in good part I find a lot of it to be very manufactured and kind of contrived. Thing is, like, my sort of approach to life has always been just don't be a dick to other people and all that. And I can't help but think that a lot of like current debates around sort of culture war and social issues could so easily be resolved so amicably if people would just sometimes get off their high horses. And I'm not just talking about, like, for example, what the internet likes to call social justice warriors here. I'm not just talking about them. I'm talking about people on the other side as well who kind of react to that and sort of like get very up in arms about it.
You know what I would say. The when people get so uppity about video games have got too. This is topical as well. Video games have got too much violence.
Things like that.
This is what this caused my son to go around and kill people. No, it hasn't.
No, it didn't. It's exactly true. It is. Thing is,
what's his face who had a big go at Grand Theft Auto? Jack Thompson.
Oh, right.
That lawyer who basically saying that video games cause everything. All the violence in the world is caused by video games.
Wow. Yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
Sure thing, Jack.
Mortal Kombat brought in the entertainment ratings board because it was quite violent, but it's not because people. There's big studies been done that show that video games improve. Hand coordination skills.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've obviously come to fact like blind people and people with deaf people who are deaf can use video games as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you say, there've been studies that have never been able to find a conclusive link between video game violence and violence in the real world. So, because
what about things like Portal 2? Brain Training Academy.
Indeed.
These things help. The puzzle solving skills help with puzzles in. If you're getting stuck in, you can get things solved quicker. It helps your problem solving skills.
Things that basically can actually be educational in a sense. Like, are we including them as well? But yeah, it's like people tend to cite, instances, for example, of like school shooters in the US who, maybe they have played violent video games, but the problem often with people like that is, in terms of actually drawing a causal link between the violent video game they played and their actual decision to commit a violent act, that causal link is often very tenuous, if it even exists at all. And usually there are other factors at play, like mental health problems, social rejection and isolation, things like this. And so it's like, it gets that question of, okay, how do you know it's the video game that's prompted this violence? How do you know it's not all these other factors as well? Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, like, imagine how many people there are in the world who play violent video games, and then ask yourself how many of them then go on to actually commit violence. Very, very few, actually, is the answer to that.
So we need to start with that, because video games are the biggest entertainment industry in the world now.
Indeed.
So right, I think we'll do one more question.
Let's do one more.
So Andrew, give us another.
Okay. I was going to say, actually, do you want to pick one? Since I picked one, you pick one.
Yeah, I'll pick one. Let's pick. Let's pick 52.
52.
Right, here we go. What's 52? Right. Let me just find it. Here we are. 52. Oh my goodness me.
Oh, what is it?
Wow. This is a question and a half.
Okay.
Really.
Good one to.
Unethical experiment would have the biggest positive impact on society as a whole?
What unethical experiment? Ooh, okay.
What unethical experiment would have the biggest positive impact on society as a whole?
Okay. I mean, my immediate thought. Okay, but there were a couple of thoughts I actually had when you were sort of saying that. So my immediate thought, and the one that kind of answers this question that came to mind, was sort of like animal testing in the pharmaceutical industry. Yeah, ethics-wise, there's a lot of kind of questions around it, but it's one of those things where, well, if we are researching medical treatments, we need to have some way of testing them, and the result of that may well be positive. It is, it's a tricky one.
Vegetarians in the comments.
Yeah, sorry to
vegans.
Any
but no, it's not the best thing. Like rabbits and mice and everything, they've got to be tested. I mean, obviously, you go, well, you can't do that. Might as well do it on humans.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, there are, to some extent, some forms of, like, human testing. Like, there are some scientific experiments where, for example, they send out calls, if you want to be a human volunteer.
Yeah, and you say if you want to sign up, sometimes they give them money.
Yeah.
What you don't want to do is, of course, the unethical medical testing on humans. Let's not look at the Nazis.
Indeed, yeah. There are certain things that you can't really do on humans because they're so risky.
Joseph Mengele, the angel of death.
There you go. Yeah, but the thing is, like, the thing is, I say that, but there are some forms of animal testing that are completely unnecessary, like animal testing in the cosmetics industry. It's like there's no need for that. It's just completely unnecessary. But medical research is one of those things where because it's so kind of important, it's like you might have to make that trade-off.
It is quite unethical, but it needs to be done.
But the other sort of thought that I had, this isn't like a direct answer to the question, but the moment you said like unethical experiments, I was thinking of like historical things. Like, have you heard of things like the Milgram experiment and things like that?
They do sound familiar,
so I think the Milgram experiment was the one where it was like back in the sort of 50s or the 60s. This is the sort of experiment that you would not get approved today because it would be so unethical. It was basically like a psychological social experiment where the researcher had sort of a volunteer sat in a room, and then in another room, out of sight of the volunteer, he had like a paid actor who knew what was going on. But the idea was that the volunteer had like a set of buttons placed in front of them and a set of questions and a microphone, and was said, you need to ask the person in the other room a question. If they get the question wrong, you have to press one of these buttons and it gives an electric shock to the person in the other room.
Oh God, yes, I've heard that.
Yeah. But of course,
things like that today,
the person in the other room, of course, is not. They're not an innocent volunteer. They're an actor. They're not actually being electric shocked. They're just acting it out. But it's interesting because, of course, like it was that idea of with each button you press, the electric shock supposedly gets worse and worse, and eventually like it gets to the point where the actor playing the part of the person being shocked actually stops making noise, as though maybe they've like lost consciousness, and the researcher just sits there and says, continue please, continue asking the questions. And it's an interesting experiment in terms of how many people sort of resist and say, no, I can't do this, and how many just submit to authority and do it.
Human morality and things like that.
It's a fascinating case, but like I say, it's the sort of experiment you would not get ethical approval for now because it's so serious. But there are other ones, that are kind of fascinating. There was also the one that's sort of similar, but it was like the prison guard experiment, again, like in the sort of 50s or 60s, whenever it was, where they had a whole group of people and they like divided them in half. One half of them were given the task of being prisoners, and the other half were given the task of being prison guards, and then they were basically just told, you have to fulfill your roles. We're not going to intervene to stop you from fulfilling your roles. And then it was sort of like seeing how eventually the prison guards start treating the prisoners in quite a sort of inhumane way. As authority gets to them.
Sort of things, but
indeed.
God, imagine if you did that nowadays.
Indeed, he would not. He would not even get approval to do that from a research ethics committee.
Well, those are some interesting questions. Yeah, the funny thing is about that is there are sort of like more mundane question like which two movies do you like? But it picked ones that actually gave some thoughts. So that's interesting. So thanks for that.
Actually, actually, no, we'll ask you the question now, but I just had another thought, but we'll come back to it in a second because it might be a good way to sort of wrap up the episode. But yeah, is there any thing you'd want to say in answer to that question, Phil, before I say that? What's on my mind?
I think mostly what you said there, would be the animal testing one. I would go with. I don't really know any others. That would be a big boon to society.
Indeed. But the thought that I just had, and like I say, I wanted to kind of come back to this because actually it takes us kind of full circle a bit. So there was another sort of experiment, an unethical experiment that I read about a few months ago, and so. Obviously, you know of a book called Lord of the Flies, Phil. I don't know if you've read it, but you probably know what it's about, don't you?
That is weird. Oh my God, that is
Yeah.
really strange because you'll never guess what.
But
Yesterday, obviously, because when I go back and I like watching a few old So You've Been Hunted episodes, I was actually watching the Lord of the Flies one that you did.
Right, yeah. Oh, actually, this topic then might not be entirely unfamiliar to you. Then what I'm about to say.
Yeah, because I watched that. Episode you did.
So Lord of the Flies, for anyone who doesn't know, was written by William Golding. It's a book about a bunch of English schoolboys who get stranded on a desert island.
You don't really need to go too in depth because you've got a whole saving 100 episode of Lord of the Flies.
But essentially, it's about how these polite, civilized boys basically break down and just turn into complete savages. And most people sort of often read it as being an indictment of humanity in the sense that if we're placed into horrible circumstances, we turn into monsters. But they tried. They did an experiment, didn't they, where they actually they actually worked together. Indeed,
did well.
So there was an experiment where, although the researcher was trying to like steer them towards conflict, quite often the boys who were part of the experiment actually tried to resist and actually did try to cooperate. And I think that's an interesting thought just to leave this episode off on.
That maybe there should be a bit more faith in humanity than we normally expect.
Because that sort of speaks to that first question that you asked earlier in the video about harmony. Maybe there is more possibility for it.
Now, obviously that was a brief synopsis, but if you want to have more on what Andrew was stating with that, have a look at the Lord of the Flies episode. But I don't know the number. But if you just put Generous Strategist into YouTube with Lord of the Flies, it'll come straight up.
Yeah, it'll probably come up, Well, there you go. And I just wanted to kind of give that thought, because I think it's a good way to wrap this episode up. So thanks for that, Phil. That was a pretty good episode. Really interesting questions there.
Well, I'm going to keep that page open because what you can do is this website actually has got like various different lists. They've got 350 and then they've got another 250 starters. It's called like conversationstarters.com. Conversationstarterworld.com.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's got like there's some. I'm just looking at some of these now. Like some of these are really good, so we can save these for like other episodes.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that would be really interesting to do that indeed. in that case, we'll wrap up here. So Facebook and Twitter links down below, along with the link to my propagandist channel for anyone interested. And if you enjoyed, a like's always appreciated. And of course, leave your thoughts in the comments below in answer to any of those questions if you wish to, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, please do. Yeah, give us your thoughts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right,
other than that, this is two of us going now. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Oh, hello. So you're a Laura, right? Oh, God. Moneybags, did you just get chucked off? I'm back. Okay, well that answers that question. I swear, if that is Aoi Asahina from Danganronpa, I'm tempted to make so many donut jokes.